Hi, Karen Weinstein here for Fit Bottomed Girls, and today I'm going to show you 5 exercises to help strengthen your wrists. Now, before we get going, I just want to explain some of the things that I have in front of me. You're going to need a resistance band, you'll need a yoga block, a lightweight dumbbell, someplace between about 2 and 5 pounds. You could also use a soup can or a bottle of water in place of that. You're also going to need a hammer. You'll notice that in front of me I've got a surface. I'm going to use this to rest my forearms on. If you prefer, you could sit and put your forearms on a table, or you could stand and rest your forearms on a counter. In addition to that, for the first 2 skills at least, you could put one hand underneath the opposite forearm. Elbow is anchored by the side of your body, and we could work this way as well. So when you're ready, we're going to start just with a little bit of a warm-up. Go ahead and interlace your fingers and start to make a figure 8 pattern with your hands. And then let's see if we can reverse that same pattern. We'll go forward and we'll go back. And then try switching which thumb is on top. So you're interlacing your fingers the opposite way and then doing that same figure 8 pattern. Forward, and then see if you can do it backward as well. And then grab your resistance band, and we're going to scrunch it up, hold it out in front of you, and I want you to pretend it's a towel that you're wringing out. So you'll notice that my elbows are fairly straight here. I'm holding my arms out in front of me, and then begin to rotate your arms a little bit so that your left arm is on top, right arm is on the bottom, and then come around the other way. And you'll notice this feels a little different as we go into that rotated position. And then go ahead and just release that resistance band, and you can place it back down, shake out your wrists a little bit, and we're going to begin using the dumbbell. So coming down to rest so that your forearm is on the bench, and I'm holding my hand palm up with the weight in my hand, and now I'll just let my hand relax. So I'm letting gravity pull the weight down toward the floor. From here, you're going to curl your fingers toward your forearm and then release back down. So we're going to curl up and back down. I'm going to go for about 8 repetitions here. That's what I would recommend if this is brand new to you. 8 repetitions for just 1 set. And you could incorporate this into your current strength training routine 1 to 2 times a week. After I'm done with 8 on one side, I'm going to switch and just do the other side. And whenever something is new, I like to start at a lower number of repetitions, but you can always work your way up to 3 sets of 15 repetitions. So we'd start on the low end at 1 set, and the high end would be 3. Low number of repetitions would be 8, and you could work your way up to 15. And one of the things I'd like you to notice is that I'm not going super fast here. In fact, if you wanted to, you could even slow it down more and count to 1, 2, 3 on the way up and 1, 2, 3 on the way down. When you're done with that, now we're going to switch the weight to the other hand and turn the palm down. So same start, I'm letting my hand relax, I'm letting the weight be pulled down toward the floor, and now I'll take the back of my hand toward the back of my forearm. So we're going for 8 repetitions here as well. I'm going to do the movement fairly slowly so I can stay nice and controlled. And one of the things I actually like to do is I'll take the fingers of my opposite hand and place them on top of my forearm. And this gives me a better sense of the muscles that I'm actually using to go into wrist extension. So now you know which muscles you're strengthening. And it's always interesting to see how far up you can feel those muscles working. After you've done 8, we'll switch and do the other side. Same thing, nice and slow. And use your opposite hand so that you can start to feel and sense in your own body which muscles are being strengthened as you do these wrist extensions. After you've done 8 repetitions on this side as well, come on up. And we're going to trade in that dumbbell for a resistance band and a yoga block. As I mentioned earlier, I like the yoga block because it keeps you a little bit more honest in the positioning of your forearms. So I'm going to hug the yoga block with my forearms. My hands are palm up. And I'm going to creep my fingers toward one another so that my pinkies are a little bit closer. And then gripping the resistance band firmly, I'll stretch out the band. So I'm drawing my thumbs toward the side walls, and then the band wants to contract and I'm resisting that. So again, we'll do 8 repetitions here. And that block prevents my forearms from sliding toward one another, so it keeps this skill really focused on the wrists. You could do this without the block. I could take my elbows by my sides, but I have to really pay attention to making sure my forearms aren't moving as I do this. So again, I recommend using the blocks. Once you're done with 8 repetitions with the palms facing up, we'll come back and do the same thing with the palms facing down. So palms down, creeping my fingers toward one another so now my thumbs are a little closer together. I'll hold the resistance band pretty firmly. And now I'm going to stretch out the band so the pinky sides of my hands move out toward the side walls and then back toward the midline. And I could actually move my hands a little closer here, I can feel. So I'm pulling on that band. The band wants to recoil and pull my hands back quickly. I'm going to resist that and try to move my hands really slowly for 8 repetitions. When you're done with this, we're just going to pause for a moment. That's my last one. Come on up, shake things out a little bit. And I've got one last skill for you, and this is the one that you need the hammer for. So setting everything else off on the side, I've got a pretty big hammer. So depending on the size of your hammer, how much it weighs, the weight is all in the head of the hammer. So if this is a newer skill to you, what I recommend is choking up on the hammer. So you're not holding the handle all the way down at the end. You're holding a little closer to the head of the hammer. And then we're going to go into some rotation here. So I'm going to start to rotate my forearm. So the inside of my forearm is facing up, my palm is facing up. I actually pause here to enjoy a little bit of the stretch that I get from this, and then slowly begin to lift the head of the hammer back up and resist as it rotates the other way. Because remember, gravity is trying to pull the head of the hammer down quickly. You're going to move slowly. And again, a little pause here so I can sense that stretch. If you want, take your opposite hand and actually put it on your forearm and see if you can begin to tune into the muscles that you're actually using to go into this movement. So we're going from palm up to palm down. And again, I'm moving really slowly here. I'm trying to control the weight of the hammer. As I get better at this skill, I could always move my hand down a little bit closer to the end of the handle. And I'm going to do 8 rotations on this side. So that would be 8 times on each side. And then I'll switch and I'll do the other hand. So whenever you're ready, holding the hammer, and then beginning to rotate the hand. So palm down, pause, enjoy that little bit of a stretch, lift the head of the hammer up, resist the rotation. Gravity's going to try to move you fast. You're going to move slowly. Enjoy that little bit of a stretch, and then come on back up. So we're aiming for 8 repetitions in total. And if this is all new to you, just a reminder that you're doing one set 1 to 2 times a week. And over time, as your wrists get stronger, you can always work your way up to 2 to 3 sets of up to 15 repetitions. So when you're done with all 8 of those nice, slow, controlled rotations, you're going to come on back up. We'll put the hammer down and just shake your wrists out a little bit. And we'll end the same way we began, interlacing the fingers, and just take a moment to roll your wrists out a little bit. Excellent. What I hope is that over time you feel the difference in your wrist strength, not only in strength training, but in everything that you love to do. Thanks for joining me.